You can reach Minecraft's world border by using this simple machine I designed. It's really easy to use. We're just going to open up this door right here, and then we're going to walk around, and in the water here, we're going to place in our ender pearl. And now we can just come up here and wait for the machine to launch our ender pearl. And now the machine will activate and blast our pearl, and in just a little bit we'll get teleported. And now we're on top of the bedrock ceiling in the nether. If we just come in and build up a nether portal here and then light it, let's see how far out it sent us. Oh, and just like that, we traveled over 33,000 blocks. Hello there, Ray here, and this Ender Pearl Breeze Wind Charge Cannon is a modified design of my instant one-hit kill anything redstone machine using a railgun cannon. Despite it being such a powerful machine, I created it to be really easy for you to build and understand. It all begins with the third most important entity being the iron golem, which we're going to put in a pen in order to make it so that the breeze will continuously shoot out breeze wind charges. That's because the iron golem is one of a couple entities that the breeze will actually try to kill. And to stop the iron golem from walking away, we can put a lead on it and then push it in. Next, we need a little bit of redstone in order to make the calibrated sculk sensor a bit smarter. So with the redstone power of 3 going into this side of it, it will only detect the use of items such as breezes throwing out wind charges. Don't forget to leave your like, as they are free and they really help me out. We're then going to put in some delay so that it will be perfectly timed with the next breeze attack, and a piston to move the wind charges. Then we're going to use that same power a dropper, which will be used for counting. To make the counting system reset, we're going to put in a little bit more redstone, including an observer clock. And the wool is used to keep the player's vibrations from interfering with the breeze's ones. Now we'll put in the second half of the clock, which will be collecting the items. And then as soon as the items are empty, we'll read it with the comparator here, which will move this redstone signal to reset the clock, as well as start sending redstone to the area where we will push the breeze wind charges even further. To do this, we do need to align the wind charges a couple different directions. So we'll align them upwards by using an iron trapdoor on a sticky piston. Then after that, we're going to wait a little while, and then we're going to have a piston that's going to push the iron trapdoor back into location. But after first having redstone go up into a sticky piston that is going to push the wind charges with a slime block, which will actually bounce the wind charges so that they will start moving once again and send them downrange to explode. We're also going to place in the door, which we use to start the whole thing. Don't forget to share this with your favorite Minecrafter. Next, we'll work on the most important mob, which is going to be the breeze. Then we need to make a special little container to hold the breeze so it's perfectly aligned. But before we put the breeze in, we're going to continue the redstone from the end of the counter into our pearl stasis chamber. So with a little bit of delay, we're going to power a sticky piston, and then we're going to power a second sticky piston after some delay. Both these pistons will push inwards to align our ender pearl at the last moment. You can always see the dozens of hours it takes to design these machines and farms from scratch over at my second YouTube channel, which you can find in the description. But I designed this ender pearl stasis chamber to be really cheap and easy to use, but it comes with the downside of needing some bubble columns. We need one that's going up as well as one that's going down. And then to hold all the water in, we're going to place in blocks. Some are going to be immovable, so we're using a cheap immovable block like leaves. And you'll use this magma soul sand layout if you're shooting your pearl in the west direction, or if you're shooting your pearl in the south direction. But if you're trying to shoot it in the north direction or the east direction, then you'll want to switch the magma and soul sand around. And then once we got it high enough, we're going to place in the block to help align the player, which is just a grindstone. Then we're going to place in 2 honey blocks, which are the perfect size in order to align the pearl without pushing it out of the bubble columns. Then in order to make the pearl go really far, we're going to use a nether portal. As every 1 block it moves in the nether, it moves 8 in the overworld, which will let us get out much further than if we would just be shooting our pearls through the overworld. And have the portal really close to the pearl to make the majority of the pearl's momentum going through the nether rather than wasting it here in the overworld. With the portal lit, now we can place in all the water sources by clicking against these blocks, which will make our bubble columns. Now we're done with the main building. We just need to go through our nether portal and make sure it takes us back to the same overworld nether portal when we go through again. If not, you're going to have to take the overworld's X and Z values and divide them by 8 while keeping the Y level the same, and then use those 3 coordinates on the nether side to move that nether portal to that position. But either way, record the coordinates of this nether portal that is on the nether side, as we will need these for the next part. Now for infinite source of wind charges, we're going to need to find a breeze mob. If you know the seed of your world, you can use the chunk-based website to locate the nearest trial chamber that has these mobs. Otherwise, trade with a cartographer where you'll get a chance at getting the trial chamber map that will show you where the nearest one is. The top of the map is north, the X is where you want to go, and the little white dot is where you're currently at. So this means I need to go north as well as west in order to get to there. Then once you're on top of the icon, you just want to dig straight down until you hit the chamber. Then search around it for one of the bigger rooms that has the breeze spawners. If you want, you can be stealthy and actually block off the whole thing so it doesn't spawn anything. As long as the bottom part of it doesn't see your eyes, it won't start up. And then we're going to build a nether portal nearby to easily transport the breeze through the nether dimension. Now when we go through, we're going to break this nether portal, then pillar up into the bedrock ceiling, where we're going to search for an area that the bedrock is only 1 block thick. And then we're going to climb up a ladder and throw a pearl through the corner here to clip through it and get on top of it, where we will build a new nether portal that is above the previous one that we broke. Now when we go through this one, it should go back to the one that's inside of the trial chamber. Now we can have a breeze spawn in, and then we can have a boat nearby so that it'll get picked up inside of it. And then we can just drive the boat into the portal, and this will teleport both of us. Now we can use a lead on the boat, and we'll drag this back to our redstone machine. Hey, if you enjoy ingenious builds, make sure you guys are a subscriber. And now's the time we're going to use those nether coordinates that go to the machine that we saved earlier in order to build a new nether portal at that location, but just higher up here on top of the bedrock. And if we did it correctly, it should link up with the nether portal on the overworld side. Now if going through this portal sends you underneath of the bedrock ceiling, you can make a dead man switch where as soon as you leave the pressure plate, it will dispense lava into the portal, breaking it, so that the next time you go through, you will get teleported on top of the bedrock where your other portal is. And you don't want to have any other nether portals nearby because there's this weird glitch that allows the ender pearl to clip right through completely solid walls, which I'll cover more in a later video. And on this side, we're going to place in some blocks to transport the breeze to its spot. And then if we go through the nether portal in the same direction as the rails, we'll want to put in another little rail system on this side. Now we'll want to bring our breeze nearby and then completely surround it. And then we're going to place our rails that are going to go into the portal. So now when we break the boat and release the breeze, we're going to have it get picked up by a moving minecart nearby. And then we're going to push it into the nether portal. Now once the breeze goes through, we're just going to push it along the rails. And then while hidden, we can remove these extra blocks and replace anything that we broke. Now to remove the momentum of the breeze's wind charges, we're going to sneak in here and place a cobweb up against this block. And then we're going to come around the side here and remove that block that we clicked against, and then also remove this redstone dust here, which will retract the piston, allowing us to place in the honey block, which we're going to use to push the wind charges aside. And then we're going to place the redstone dust back in again, and then place a block of wool right here so the pearls don't activate the sculk sensor. Now we're going to move the portal that's at the bedrock level, and we're going to put it at the very top of the world. That way the pearl can travel further before it hits the ground. And make sure your portals are going the right direction. So if your pearl is going north through this portal, when it comes out, make sure it's also going in the north direction so the portal is angled in that direction. So if we did everything correctly, as soon as we open up the door, the breeze will then see the iron golem and start shooting bullets towards it. The first bullet will explode, but by that time the sculk sensor will perfectly time moving over the next bullet, which will also have its momentum removed and stored to the side. And then once the counter counts enough bullets being stored, it will then send them all towards our pearl. Notice that the honey block is not as big as the normal block, so the wind charges don't get pushed completely over. And then when the trapdoor pushes upwards, it will align it at the perfect height. But before it does that, we'll want to come in and place an ender pearl. We'll use the magma to pull us downwards. And then we'll move sideways to move underneath of this ledge here. And use the corner of this grindstone to line us almost perfectly between all 4 corners of these blocks. And I discovered if I would crouch at this moment here, it'll stop the pearl from traveling so far, making it more likely to stay in the perfect location. And because I threw it between a downwards as well as an upwards bubble column, they equal out, causing the pearl to get frozen in place, making a really cool ender pearl stasis chamber. But because the stasis chamber is so simple to set up, it does have a downside that not every pearl will be centered properly. So if you want the pearl to send you to like the exact same location in the nether every time, then you'll want to make sure that the center of this ender pearl is no greater than 1 pixel away from the center of all 4 blocks. But every time you throw a pearl, there's a little bit of randomness to the sides. So if it goes too far off to the sides, just place in a block that will destroy the water, and this will cause the bubble column to move the pearl out of the way. And then you can try again. Now this is only important if you're trying to get precise teleportation, as if the pearl is too far from the center, when the honey blocks come in from the side to perfectly align it, they won't be able to reach it if it's too far away. And then once you got the pearl where you want it, you can swim up and remove the extra pearls that are above the water just by placing in some blocks, or you can just have trapdoors here that you close. Now at the same time the breeze charges are hurling down range, the redstone's also going to come over here and activate both the sticky pistons, which are going to push the honey blocks forward. And because honey block is slightly smaller than a full block, it will push the pearl in front of it without it completely pushing out of the magma bubble column. And during the pushing, it will cause it to float upwards a little bit, but it will once again become stationary, as it's still technically in both types of bubble columns. And after much trial and error, this setup allowed me to freeze the pearl right in location, while also getting its position exactly where we want it. And then at this point, the breeze charges will finally make their way to this area, and they're going to sneak past the grindstone we placed in, and they're going to hit up against this leaf block back here. This will make the explosion rays come mostly from behind the ender pearl, pushing it in this direction. But since the ender pearl is slightly higher, it's going to push it forward and upwards and into the corner of our nether portal right here. So now the pearl went through into the nether, and if we look over here, we can actually see it flying through the air. It's moving really quickly. Depending on how many wind charges you're using, it can move up to hundreds of blocks per game tick. And the total number of breeze wind charges that will be stored up will depend on how many items you have in this dropper here. The more items means the more breeze charges, means the farther you will go. So if you have like 1 stack of items here, then that will send you 18,000 blocks. But if you have the whole thing full, that will send you over 160,000 blocks. But if you want to go farther than that, then you just want to disable the redstone so that it's not actually counting down. And this will let you store up as many wind charges as you want. Just remember to eventually put the redstone dust back in again, otherwise your Minecraft will probably crash. This is because the breeze wind charges are entities, meaning the more you have, the more strain is on your computer. And you'll get to a point where you won't even be able to play Minecraft, but having a better computer could help out, as well as running mods that will make it so these don't lag as much, allow you to store up more of them so that you can go out farther, and technically you can go out to the world border, although you probably need a supercomputer to do that. Let's continue watching the pearl fly across the nether dimension. As the pearl is flying into new chunks, it will actually load the chunk that it goes into. This is because it recently changed it so that ender pearls will actually load new chunks. And that's what makes this whole thing possible when it wasn't possible before, and is also why this will not work in Bedrock Edition, because pearls do not load chunks there. Now we're mostly launching the pearl completely horizontal, so it will take longer for it to fall out of the sky and hit the bedrock ceiling. This will allow it to go a bit further, but if you want to reach your destination a little bit faster, you can put your nether portal on top of the bedrock. But if you want to, you could just launch the pearl through the overworld without the nether portal, and this machine also works in the end dimension. But eventually the pearl will land and teleport its owner. So by going through the nether, wherever your coordinates are, when you get sent back to the overworld, they'll be ×8. And this is why we do this, so we can go out 8 times as far. But if you're constantly going to the same spot, you can just leave your nether portal here on top of the bedrock, and then when the pearl comes flying through the air, it will go through this portal here, so you will spawn directly in the overworld, which is also a somewhat new thing that's been added to the game. I'll show you how cool it looks. So 1 second you're standing here in the overworld, and then your pearl goes quantum tunneling through the nether dimension, and then the next second you're here in the overworld, but in a completely different place that's thousands of blocks away. Now see how I made a machine that can one-hit kill anything in this video here. And thanks to my monthly supporters, which keep these videos free. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!